lot of marketing is about branding and how many times you hit them, how they understand and perceive your brand. When you just start out, if you're doing any type of marketing for the first time, if they never heard of you, you're probably not going to have as good a response rate as if you've been in the industry, in the business for a while. If they've seen your name 20, 30, 40 times, and all of a sudden they can trust your brand when they see it.
Welcome to another episode of Aleph Ventures TV. Excited for my guest today, Mr. Garrett Martell. Garrett, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So you have a lot going on. I've been looking forward to this conversation, and particularly because, in our industry, there's a lot of accidental entrepreneurship in the painting industry. But then I think there are kind of the purebred entrepreneur types, which I really consider you to be one of those folks. So excited to pick your brain, and I think you have a lot to offer folks. You are, I'll kind of give this little intro, but owner of 2 Day Painting out of the Milwaukee area, doing just under $8 million in business there. You also founded Trade Fix that helps with direct mail strategy, things that we'll talk about and would love to get into today. But maybe just to start, man, what I'm curious, maybe to go even way back, when do you feel like you had an inclination towards being a business owner? When did you start thinking that that's how you wanted to do your career?
Honestly, ever since elementary school, I used to win all the contests where we sold candy bars door to door or pizzas and stuff like that. And I was always very interested in that kind of stuff. I never thought it would be in painting.
Yeah.
As I actually went to school for entrepreneurship, they actually just started a degree program the year that I went, and did an internship with College Pro. And that's when I learned, hey, I kind of like this business. I think I can do this. It doesn't require any startup costs or too much of that. Mostly went door to door for the first few years, printed flyers at my school library, bought an old 93 Plymouth minivan with a wooden ladder rack, and got some used ladders from people, and basically did it all with just opening a $10,000 credit card. And then I was able to grow that and actually start investing in marketing and better people and systems and go from there.
What was the point where, because I feel like with College Pro, and obviously our group at Aleph here, we have all kinds of history with College Pro. I personally don't, but one of the things that I've heard just again and again is initially there's a lot of appeal of hey, this is a way where I could pay off some, student loans and put myself through college. I might get some good experience here, but there's not necessarily I'm going to do this forever, right? It's kind of a means to an end. When for you was the shift of oh, I think I'm actually going to camp out in the painting industry for a while here? Did you fall into that? Was there a point that you kind of made a decision of all right, I'm going to really pursue this? How did that come about where you just ended up camping in painting industry?
I didn't think I would when I first started the business. I worked hard at it. I was one of the top producers in our area. Made decent money, but it was very stressful, as most people do. People feel that do the program. After I was completely done with the season, I was thinking about it for a year. I was interviewing with other possible job places, and it just kept coming back to I'd rather do my own business than get a job somewhere. And then so probably about a year after College Pro, I decided to start investing and creating the systems for 2 Day Painting. I actually canvassed and door knocked on my way to find the perfect concept, and actually asked a ton of people in different neighborhoods, hey, what do you think about these different names for businesses? And use that survey result to start 2 Day Painting.
Okay, I love that. Give me maybe just a snapshot of the lay of the land today with 2 Day in terms of what kind of team do you have in place, what kind of infrastructure, and therefore, what do you do kind of day to day in the business?
It's a great question. We have an amazing team in place. We have just about zero turnover in the company, which has really helped us run a good operation. We have 5 sales reps, 5 project managers. We have our office team is we have a general manager, an operations manager, a production assistant, a financing person to handle invoicing and bookkeeping and stuff. We have a marketing assistant, a office manager, and a like color consultant slash receptionist hybrid. Uh, and then we have in the field we have a handful of carpenters, handful of painters, power washer, and then we have a lot of subcontractors as well.
Okay. And then what does that kind of leave on your plate day to day, week to week?
My role is mostly a R&D development role. It's a coaching role. I'm constantly looking for problems and way to make the company better. I do a lot of time coaching in the field between, just riding along with our sales team, or meeting with various people in the company. I try to have a relationship with everyone in the company. Um, but it's a lot of kind of just figuring out ways to solve some problems. One thing about being an entrepreneur is that, you have a knack for kind of looking for problems and finding ways to make it better, where a lot of times a lot of employees don't always do that. They see the same problem over and over again, and they never do anything to make it better, so it just continues to happen. So I'm trying to just really run a really optimal company. I want our customers to have an extremely amazing experience. We do a lot to try to control quality, control systems, make them happy, little things that we do to add value. And so my goal is to make sure our employees are happy and our customers are happy, and just continue making the company better.
I love it, man. Um, Something that jumped out there, you said zero turnover. I'd love to explore that a little bit more. Uh, just flesh that out more. What do you mean by that
Well, not
in that
completely
context?
zero, but
Sure, sure,
very,
sure.
very, very, very minimal turnover. I would say that we have a very happy group of employees. We have a great culture. Everyone gets along well. And most of our employees, when they come on, they usually stay on.
That's
Occasionally we
awesome.
have a painter or, a crew turnover, or we just, you know, find someone that we try to develop and get them into a good position. Maybe they're not the best fit, but for the most part, we kind of take care of people. We have, I would say, the best benefits of any company I know in the industry. Um, we do a lot of little things we do have all the obvious ones like health and dental and 401k matches and all the standard one, but we give away a lot of like free winter vacation days in our slow season for every year they've been in biz. Every year they've been a part of the company. We'll paint a free room in their home. We give the entire holiday break between December 24th to January 1st off. So we have 12 paid holidays every year. Um, and in general, we just try to really be cognitive about how we treat everyone, that everyone's treated with respect, and everyone feels like they're treated fairly. They're managed well, so that way they can be efficient, but they're getting paid well for their positions. And it makes a big difference when you don't have to recruit new positions for your company every year, and you can just focus on getting better.
Totally, man. That's huge. Um, Lot that you mentioned there. Maybe just like a nugget of if somebody, I don't know, if somebody has a team, some salespeople, some a production staff, and they're not experiencing that kind of longevity in those roles. Maybe they're experiencing more turnover. Is there anything that you would kind of encourage them, like a first question to ask themselves, or like a first, like what would just be your encouragement of like a first step to try to improve that? What's been like most impactful?
So one thing that we do is we do a state interview with all of our employees. So in their annual review, we ask them a few questions like, what makes you come to work every day? What would make you one day want to leave? What is one thing that you're not getting from a manager that you could use? What is one thing the company is doing wrong today? And it really allows them to, as long as they feel safe to open up, it allows them to open up about things. And you'd be surprised at the answers you get. A lot of them could really help your business. Little things that you didn't think about that, could be going wrong, or you can make somebody's life a lot happier. And if you're running a really good company, most of the time the answer is just like, well, I'm really happy here, but I guess if anything, I could use a little more pay or something like that. And that's not a bad thing. That means that usually they open up and he allows you to get a good vibe of your employees.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that transparency, candor, kind candor, creating room for that super important. So we're gonna get to some more marketing, focused stuff. But I think a big part of marketing is just the broader idea of like systems. And just as I've observed you over the years, you just come across as somebody who is like, you are a systems person. And I think that you're, from what I can tell, very effective at creating those systems and like executing on them. The truth is, that's been the rage for a long time. I think everybody has this aspiration of systems. Like you hear that, it's like cliche almost. You got to build systems from, and I know that you get around the country, you get around the industry. From your perspective, what do you think is like the difference between like the idea and aspiration of like wanting systems and just actually executing on building them? Like, what is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are some of the things that you think that have helped you actually build systems?
Well, I think it starts with organization. You have to, and time management. You have to have a system for keeping track of the tasks that you need to get done, prioritizing certain tasks, and actually working on building those systems. I think as entrepreneurs, many of us are visionaries and we think of all these great ideas, but when it comes to actually executing it, it doesn't get done or it doesn't get done well. So you either need to keep yourself organized, keep yourself on track, budget time for working on these systems and, hopefully delegating a lot of them to your team and just following up on those tasks. Or you need to have an integrator. You need to have somebody that you can really trust to execute on your ideas.
Nice. Is there any little systems or little tricks of the trade that have been helpful for you? Like, are you like a software guy for keeping organized? Or are you old school, like pen and paper? How have you been effective in your own experience with that stuff?
For myself personally, I am a little more old school with spreadsheets. I like to, have a spreadsheet with all my weekly tasks on them and things to kind of keep track of. And there's each section has a day and different categories for topics. And a lot of them are just following up with people like, hey, did you happen to get this done? Keeping on top of people, talking about their workload and then just moving stuff around. And half of it is just keeping track and making a note for yourself to get to something. I know a lot of people that organize themselves by emails as well. Or, they might have an actual software that helps, keep track of it. I just like to customize the flexibility of what a spreadsheet can provide.
I love that, man. I think the older I get, the more things I try. It's like some of these tried and true things are just, and I know I have friends who it's like, yep, just a notebook and a pen. It's like I just cannot improve on that. But just having something, I think the thing is, it's like having something that keeps you organized. So that's great. Let's get into these marketing topics. So one of the things, Nate Streeter on our team, I was talking to him about folks that he think I should reach out to, and you came up, and particularly around this whole kind of idea of unique offers or like using offers as a marketing strategy. And maybe I'll just kind of lay our cards on the table. Like sometimes in our experience, like a pitfall or a potential pitfall is using offerings in a way that you kind of eat into your margin, do it in a way where, you eat into your profitability or whatnot, or even too, it's like, how are you, what kind of psychology are you creating for the customer whenever you engage them with an offer? So those are just some of the questions that we've had internally here, like over the years, but obviously, man, like you've killed it over the years. I know, sounds like this has been something you've thought deeply about. So maybe just kind of start from like high level. How would you, do you see the definitions? Like, in like, what type of offers do you like to use? How do you think of them?
That's a good question. So our most standard offers that we use pretty frequently is, we have 15% off for the busy season, 25% off for the winter season. We've tested a lot of different things between free paint upgrades, financing offers, not having any offer at all. And we've compared the results, and we find that an offer does help us drive more leads, especially with direct mail and other forms of advertising like that. Um, so we like doing that, but then we like to do a lot of unique things around that. And we have different e-blasts. Like we just did a Cyber Monday e-blast where we're like, hey, pricing is about to go up 10%. You save 35% on, and then pricing's going up 10%. We can still offer you the 25%. And we had a ton of people respond to that. It's going to go up in a week. A lot of people wanted to get on our schedule right away. Several people from past estimates decided to finally stop putting on hold and be like, hey, yeah, I want to save 10%. And we were able to book some jobs from that. We do a lot of unique ways of just adding value in general. Like, we're donating a certain percentage of our proceeds, to, doing free work over the winter months for the humane societies and various nonprofit organizations in the area. And we do quite a lot of charity as a company. But we utilize that in a way where we can almost make money on the charity or get close to breaking even. Giving back is a very important thing to me. So, for example, last year we emailed everyone and, hey, we're doing 100 free rooms for people in the community, that are in need. And we also, and the goal is, okay, so we're going to paint the walls in one room, up to 2 coats using a standard level product. We're not doing closets. We're not doing ceilings. We're not doing drywall repair. We're doing the walls. And a lot of people love that. And they just had us come out and do the walls. But a ton of people upgraded their options and they wanted to add on other stuff. They wanted to upgrade their paint products. They wanted to do a closet or another room or two. And what we found is by offering these programs, we actually just did a little bit better than break even on our costs. So we did it for previous customers as well. We did like 200 free rooms last winter, and we actually made a small amount of money on it after paying for all expenses. So not only do we generate a lot of goodwill in the community, a lot of people, a lot of good reviews online, people loved us. They talked to us both with their friends and family, but we did it in a way where we kept our painters busy. Yes, we didn't make money, but we made all of our people happy. We kept more work on the table in the tough winter months, especially in Wisconsin, and got goodwill in the community. So those are, we offer stuff like free full service color consults where we actually go out and do the samples for them as well. Free touch-ups for life. We'll come back anytime in the life of their paint job and do up to a certain hours of free touch-ups into the future. And, there's a lot of little things that we do that we can just really show customers that we are far beyond the average paint contractor.
I love that, man. And are you thinking of like with that is the core of the strategy in that offer, is that like trying to more drive up your success rate of the jobs that you have already estimated, like via like following up with open estimates or something like that? Or is it like more of a strategy to go get new leads? Both. And I'm just wondering if you think of it as like getting new leads versus trying to close or reactivate old, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we have different strategies for different aspects. So we have a strategy for each one of those. We have a strategy for getting new leads, for just selling better into the field, for trying to, like the Cyber Monday emails example was a good reactivation email.
Sure.
We do follow up with customers frequently, and we have a strategy for trying to negotiate with them or trying to, to convert, people that we haven't heard from in a month. We have different strategies for all aspects, but if you get creative, there's usually an answer for everything.
Yeah. Do you think that, how about just on the the profitability side, is this just something of you're kind of managing this at the back end, like at the estimate level, making sure that you're accounting for these strategies? Um, you said that you've like tested different things. Has there ever been times where you like did an offer that it's like, oh, that was not good for us? Kind of any bogeys in there?
Yeah, there were. We struggled a lot with financing offers when you offer either or, discount or financing. I think financing has to be in conjunction with whatever, they can't be in lieu of cash for it to be effective. Um, so there's a lot of good options out there that are lower cost for financing too that you can get in the door with. But that has been the free paint upgrades were okay, not great because that didn't mean much to customers. So we tried stuff
Mm.
like, adding on free stuff, and I haven't found a great answer for that yet. Adding on a free room or free gutter cleaning or whatever the case is. Nothing was as valuable to us personally as just offering a percentage off any type of job from the
Yeah,
new,
I
from
think,
like direct mail and stuff.
yeah. I mean, I think to your point earlier of like, you're not just offering stuff um, to just, you're not just, trying to elicit a reaction. It's like you're actually trying to add value. And then I think whenever you do that well, there's like a substance there. Then it's like, oh, the kind of offer, I imagine it's like a perk, or it feels good. It's like a pleasant surprise. Like I already needed this to some degree, or I was thinking about this. I come across somebody who's given me a ton of value that I appreciate, and now, gosh, I want to take advantage of this offer while I'm in this state. Let me act. But if you don't have real value, if they're not perceiving real value, just throwing a percentage or even throwing in free stuff, it's like, well, you're not compelling enough to make that valuable. Is that kind of what maybe you've learned?
Well, I think the percentage off and offers kind of get them in the door to thinking about you. Some people just give you a direct call, but others will research you on the website. They do more math. When we didn't offer discounts, we did get a response rate of roughly half of when we did. And a lot of the people are serious. They just want to have like some reason why, oh, okay, it gives them some reason to call right now. It gives them some urgency. A lot of marketing is about branding and how many times you hit them, how they understand and perceive your brand. When you just start out, if you're doing any type of marketing for the first time that they never heard of you, you're probably not going to have as good a response rate as if you've been in the industry, in the business for a while. If they've seen your name 20, 30, 40 times, and now all of a sudden they can trust your brand when they see it. So there's a lot of factors that go into it when it comes to offers, like on a marketing piece. It kind of gives them a reason to like stop procrastinating the project. Uh, you know, okay, give us a call now, get a quote, maybe I'll save some money, you know, that's my logic with it.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. So that's a good segue maybe to direct mail, which is a big focus of yours with TradesFix. But you mentioned like, how many times are they seeing you? And I imagine direct mail is a big part of that. Maybe when did you first start using direct mail in your business? Was that something like right from the beginning? Was that something that you grew into?
Uh, Year two of my business, I started doing a lot of flyers and newspaper boxes and stuff like that, which kind of direct mail. Year three, I started, doing it with the post office, and I started off with EDDM, which is every door direct mail. They hit everybody on a postal route, regardless of if they're rent their home, if they're an apartment complex, if they're, in a trailer home, whatever the case is. You're just kind of flooding an entire mail route. I did that for a few years and tried to optimize the area that I was sending to. And then I started developing a strategy around a little bit more of a targeted approach. Um, then we started targeting people by, okay, we want to make sure that they have a certain home value of a certain size. We want to make sure that originally I did by income as well, that they're in a certain area, that they own their own single family owner occupied home. And that was a great response rate. We eventually learned that we stopped targeting by income because we needed to grow and because it can sometimes exclude retired folks, which is some of our best customers. So we started focusing on more household value and owner occupied homes and really just measure the response rate in the different areas. We found that one area would do drastically different than another area. Sometimes it was logical, sometimes it wasn't. Um,
Hmm.
but we've been doing it for probably a decade now, and we've seen our success from it really grow. This year, we spent less than 3% of our revenue on marketing. And our return on investment is very high with direct mail. It does great in my particular market. I work with a lot of people around the nation, and I found a lot of different response rates on a lot of different interesting things. Some markets do much better than others in direct mail, and then, in my market, I haven't really cracked the Facebook, too much Facebook success, but other areas kill it in Facebook. Um, so I think that every market has a little bit different nuances. Every it depends on what you focus and invest your time on, and how you brand yourself. But direct mail is by far the most successful form of paid advertising in that I do.
What do you, I guess, what's been your learning as you have taken that approach to other markets? I'm sure this is it's like you never arrive at an answer. I think this is a common misconception about marketing that comes from, I think, owner operators is they think that it's this, you can eventually crack some code that's set it and forget it. But the reality is the market changes, dynamics change. You have to let the data tell you, right? But I'm just curious, maybe even in 2024, like what are there things that have worked better on direct marketing in different areas, like in terms of like certain pieces or certain wording or messaging? Like what's been some of the learning this year and as you've tested it in different markets?
Our logic for the design is we like to. I've tested a lot of various pieces over the years. We kind of have a few type of main designs and themes that we mostly stick by because they get consistent results for us. They have a variety of different pictures showing different types of services that you do. Not too wordy, easy to read. Offers displayed, pretty vibrantly, or probably usually at the top of the card. Um, we have different pictures of you and your family work great. Uh, we're trying more of a hyper local approach where we're sending really small batches now, where we're having we actually have a map of all the homes we've done in your area. Like, hey, we did 50 homes in your neighborhood. Here's a picture of a happy customer from your neighborhood. These are what the homes look like in your neighborhood, which takes a lot of time to develop and invest to create all those different designs and do all that work. So I don't recommend starting with that when you do direct mail unless you have a small area that you can just do a few different pieces. Um, but there's different ways of improving your response rate, and it comes with testing and analyzing. How many leads did I get from this drop? You know, this area with this type of design at this time of the year. Time of the year makes a huge difference as well. If you send it in December, you're gonna probably lose a lot of money in most areas. But if you send it in May, you're probably going to do extremely well. And every month and different time of the year has a little bit different success with it. So there's a lot of factors. You learn most of them. And yes, marketing is not a code that you can just crack and set and forget, but you get good at things and then you realize it, and then it gets easier and easier, and it gets over time.
Yeah. Yeah. What that reminds me, there's like a Mark Twain associated to Mark Twain quote of like, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And yeah, I think that kind of concept. But I think the mindset sometimes though that I think is if somebody's trying to um, crack some code, sometimes there can be a mindset of like, I'm not trying to learn something. I'm just trying to make something go away. And I think that is where, yeah, like you got to learn from those reps, find those patterns, find what rhymes, season to season, and then you can reapply it. Um, Talk to me about TradesFix. When did that start, and what are you doing with that? What does that look like?
So that started about 6, 7 years ago. And I've had worked with quite a few painting contractors since then on developing the direct mail campaigns. So what I do with that is more of a side business for me. I created this buyers group in a sense with some vendors that I work with and some different programs. So we have a lot of different programs between marketing to new homeowners and to radiuses around the job where you send 150 cards to people around jobs that you complete. Previous customer mailings, targeted mass targeted mailings. There's a lot of different programs that we offer and a lot of different types of designs and styles that work at different times of the year. So I basically help businesses. I charge $500. I help businesses craft their strategy and their pieces, and I connect them with our buyers group, which has prices usually around the mid 30s. For most of my clients, all in for different programs cost different amounts. But help them craft that. I basically connect them with my vendors and help advise from there. So it's a program that I basically help you get going. I get you all the strategy, and then if you have questions along the way, you basically take out the middleman costs. So I just wanted to really help other direct mail has been so instrumental in my business. I've had so many people ask me over the years, like, "Hey, can I help with, can you help me with this?" And so I decided to create a little small hobby business around it, and I'm mostly a consultant that helps you connect all the pieces.
I love that, man. And has that been a nice little learning to you? Do you feel like by doing that, you've kind of gained insights that you maybe wouldn't have otherwise?
It has, yeah. Some of my clients have, thought of unique ideas, for different designs. Um, it's allowed me to, test different markets and different things in some ways, and get feedback from a lot more people. And um, it's helped my business as well.
Yeah, I love that. And again, I think I think a good spirit that's been in the air in the industry a little bit, the last several years, which is good. Of um, you're not competitors, right? Share what works, brainstorm off of each other, and even if it's a little business, like charge for your time, your expertise. That makes sense. But that it can come full circle. That can benefit you as well. Um, so another thing I wanted to touch on is reviews. So I think at one point, or maybe you were like the first or the only, 2Day has over 1,000 Google reviews. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot. Um, how how have you made that happen? And I imagine that doesn't happen overnight. So again, that gets into the systems. But what are you guys doing differently, man? That is leading to that level of, because how old is 2Day?
11 years.
Okay. So, I mean, it didn't start yesterday, but there's plenty of like successful brands that have been around for several decades that are nowhere near that. So, what are you guys doing to get those?
Great question. Well, number one, we are focusing on the customer experience and trying to invest in the development and training of our project managers and our crews to just make the customer happy. But the big thing is, we train our project managers, we incentivize them like, hey, if you make the customer happy and you get a 5-star review, we'll give you $50. We don't give anything to the customer because that would be kind of bribery. But we incentivize our PMs with a bonus, and we train them and develop them how to, encourage that review successfully. And if they do a good job, a lot of our PMs are, our top PMs are scoring over reviews on over half of the jobs that we do. And more than some of the newer PMs that are kind of learning the tricks of the trade, they might be doing 20, 25%. But um, we also have a lot of reviews on, BBB and Angie's uh, and other sources as well. Uh, so yeah, that's my encouragement. I don't use any type of review software or anything like that. We have a few links that we can text them if we, can't get them to do it in person, but it's simply just the project manager is being trained and focused on that. and in general, trying to make sure that the customer's obviously very happy to start with.
Yeah, I think there's that adage of like what gets measured gets managed. And so you got to be cognizant of it, creating incentive structures around it, tracking it, et cetera. Um, but again, there's also that element of like, you actually have to take really good care of customers. Like, no matter how tactical you are about getting the review, if you gave a crappy experience there, I mean, it's worthless. And everybody is, I've never been to a conference. I don't know about you. I've never been to a conference where somebody said that their customer experience wasn't amazing. Everybody says that, and then might complain about, oh, how can I get more reviews? It's like, you just got to take an honest look in the mirror. If you're not getting those reviews, I think that's a big part of it. That's not to diminish. You got to focus around it. There's got to be incentives and structures around it. But yeah, I don't know. Anything you would say on that? Like, is there any, like sometimes the delta between what people think they're delivering to their customers and what they're actually delivering to their customers? Any encouragement of like how to create more like honesty and self-awareness with yourself on that?
Yeah, I think what most painting contractors do, if you run an ethical, good quality business, which most of the people listening to the podcast probably are, you're focusing on the quality of the work. You're focusing on perfect lines and, perfect finishes and doing that. But what you might not be focusing on is communication or scheduling, making sure the customer is well aware when you book the job, around when they're going to be producing the work. You're communicating them well ahead of time. You're being professional. You're being friendly, coaching them on all the nuances of actual customer service as well as quality. Um, I think customer service, honestly, at the end of the day, is more important than quality. We focus on both. They're both important. But I think most painting contractors, they just focus more on the quality end, and they think as long as they do a good job, the customer will be happy. And more customers care about the actual experience.
I think that's a great word, delineating between quality of, service and customer experience of the service. I think that is right on. That's one thing, like our CEO Chet has done a good job, I think, encouraging us internally here of like, we almost got to think of ourselves as like we're in the hospitality business. And when we approach customers, when we think about giving them an experience similar to how, somebody comes to an Airbnb, or they come to a hotel, or they come to a resort, it's like you want them to, they're spending their money, they're coming there expecting a good time. You got to give them a good time. And I think similarly with these services, that's super, super important. So that's a good word. What I'm curious for you, again, maybe circling back to kind of origins or like formation, what, have there been any like just major influences on you that you feel like have helped you be successful in your endeavors? Like a person, maybe a season of life. Like, I don't know, where do you like, what's helped form a lot of the skills that you have and mindset that you have today?
Uh, that's a good question. I'm a very driven individual. When you take a top five strength test, some of my strengths are achiever and competition and futuristic. I like to think about the future and plan for that. Um, so I don't know if I've actually had. I've had various people that have given me helpful tips and tricks throughout the years. But one thing I advise our listeners to do is get a mentor. Find somebody who's very successful in the business. Talk to them about things. That can go a long way. I did not. I always thought I had to basically invent the wheel myself, and I could have gotten here or maybe past here a lot faster if I had leaned on the help of others more.
Where do you go? The futuristic, that's interesting. Or futuristic stuff. What, what does learning look like for you now? Like, well, how do you personally kind of keep filling your mind with like new ideas, like changes, improvements? Are you like a reader? Are you big into podcasts? Are there certain, thought leaders that you like to pay attention to? Like how are you kind of thinking forward and learning forward these days?
I used to read a ton. I listened to a ton of books on Audible. So that was especially as I was growing more. Uh, Now, honestly, my focus is running a really good company, and how do we make it the very best? How do we have the most solid foundation? Every person is extremely trained well on all their systems. And, I personally had travel a lot. I go on a lot of trips around the world, and that's my getaway. That's my stress, my way to get away from the stress of life. I love being here. I love being in the business, but I want to have a company that I can do that whenever I can, be there to help whenever I want. And, if I want to go live in Hawaii or Florida or wherever, I can do so. So I'm trying to build just the most well-rounded, best company I can. And then that gives you the foundation to do whatever you want from there. You can either do that or you can grow your company and at a really high level because you have that foundation.
How about thinking about 2025? What's on the horizon? What has you excited about next year?
I think next year in our company is going to be a fantastic year. I think we're definitely hoping to grow a little bit more. We're a little concerned with the economy in the election year, so we're focusing this past year mostly on just max running a really good business, focusing on the foundation versus growth. This upcoming year, we're hoping to grow. So hoping to hopefully get across the $9 million mark, and we have a great team of people to do so. We don't have to recruit too many people to do so, which is really nice in my shoes. Uh, I'm excited to take it to the next level.
Love it, man. I think it's a good place to wrap. I really appreciate your time. You're a busy guy, and appreciate you making the time to come share your thoughts. I'll be rooting for you, and would love to have you on again and check in, see how things have been going for you in the future.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
All right, brother. Thanks.
Thank you.